Communication training with Stan O'Connor.
Stop using danger phrases. We're gonna give you the power.
Saying that someone's behavior is strange, or someone's behavior is odd, or someone's behavior is funny, chances are, again, what we mean to say is that behavior is unusual. It is not like that person. They are behaving in a way that in which they normally do not behave. So at work, remember that instead of strange or weird or funny, which has a negative connotation, using the word instead unusual, or using the word unusual instead, simply implies I am noticing a change from the regular pattern and I'm going to point it out. And it's a much more professional, savvy, non-confrontational way of saying that is different from the behavior or the results that I'm accustomed to. And on that same note, let's talk about the word normal. Normal, again, can signify many different things. And you know how today the phrase the new normal is used all of the time. And the reason the new normal is used is because the word normal is difficult to define. You know, what is a normal family these days? What is a normal pattern of behavior? What is a normal business? What is a normal income stream? There's not really a normal that we can refer to much anymore. So what we mean to say when we are going to use the word normal at work is unusual. Therefore, you'll notice a big difference when you use the word unusual because people will pay attention to you more. When you say, that's not normal, that's more of an opinion. When you say, that is unusual, that's unusual, people will think, they're again noticing a break from the norm, a change from what is the expected pattern of behavior or results. Therefore, when you're going to talk about a normal family, for example, that's a big deal these days. What is a normal family? You can't define it. So you'll notice when, instead of using words such as normal, strange, weird, funny, which are more like opinions and are difficult to define, if you instead replace those words with accurate words such as unusual or average, usual, you'll notice that people will respect what you're saying more because you're not simply giving an opinion, you're simply stating that you observe something is different from the regular chain of events or the regular pattern of behavior. And the last danger phrase that I'd like to give you is for home, but certainly can be applied to work. And it is because yada, 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 something that's out of my control. For example, recently I was talking to somebody who's suffering a financial hardship. And I said, why do you think you're so hard up right now? What's the real problem? And he said, well, it's Obamacare. Now, it could be not. This is not political. But he said, because of Obamacare, I lost my job, and that's why I'm suffering this financial hardship, was the gist of what he said to me. And what we practiced was changing our verbal patterns because it helps change our mental patterns. And for example, my nephew, Eamon, he's 12 years old. The other day he was late for school. And I said to him, oh, why were you late for school? And he said, well, because my lunchbox disappeared and Bappa had to take time and make me a new lunch, and that took a few extra minutes. Sure, that's the reason. But when we are talking about challenges that we're facing in life, things that have caused us hardship, and we get out of the pattern of saying, well, it happened because this, that, or the other, and instead replace it with a power phrase, because what happens is our brain starts to form connections that can help us overcome that problem in the future. For example, if I say to myself, why was I late for school? Well, because my lunchbox disappeared and Bappa had to make me a new lunch. If instead I replace that with a because I phrase, why was I late for school? Because I didn't double check that everything was in order before I went to bed. Now my brain can start to create new connections and say, how am I going to prevent this from happening in the future? I'll double check everything before I go to bed, because it's not that the lunchbox disappeared and wasn't able to be found. He was very clever the way he phrased it. It was because he had not made sure that he prepared everything before he went to bed. Big deal, right? But if we stop the pattern of saying, well, this happened to me because of that, or this happened to me because of that, and replace it with, well, this happened because I. For example, in the situation where my friend was suffering from the financial hardship, we might think that the problem is, well, I'm suffering because I lost my job. And I lost my job because Obamacare made it impossible for my employer to give everybody benefits. They had to fire somebody. I don't know. If instead we realize, well, the real problem here isn't that I lost my job. The problem is that I am not financially secure yet. I have not prepared for an event such as being fired, which happens in life. You lose your job, you get laid off, you get fired, or whatever, you quit your job, whatever. So instead of saying, well, the reason I'm suffering financially is because of Obamacare, I replace it with a because I statement. Now I'm empowered. I'm suffering a financial hardship because I did not take the necessary steps to ensure that I would be financially sound in the event that I was fired. Now I can do something about it. Now I am empowered. Now I can start to create new connections in my brain to try and prevent this situation from happening in the future. Because if I simply, no matter what the challenge is, I fought with the customer. Why? Because the customer was a jerk. No, because I did not have the proper communication tools to use to navigate that communication situation in the area that I wanted it to go. The more I can start using because I statements, the more my brain starts to create connections that help prevent these things from happening in the future. And that is the only way I can empower myself, is by using the correct language, not just verbally, but mentally. Remember, verbal patterns create mental patterns. That's why, for example, when you are thinking negative thoughts, speak positive words. And those positive words, as you speak them, will help create more positive patterns, more positive thought patterns. Because you are saying positive words, you will start to think more positive thoughts. And using because I statements help create mental patterns as well as verbal patterns that are empowering.